Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello learners, welcome back to the course on AI in Human Resource Management. We move to the second lecture of the 11th module where we'll be looking into one of the critical aspects concerning human resource management, which is HR planning, human resource planning. And we'll also look into the role HR chatbots. We have introduced these chatbots in the previous modules specifically, but today we'll try to look into that in a detailed way. We'll try to also scan some of the typical softwares and services that are being rendered with respect to AI in human resource management, specifically with respect to human resource planning. So when you look into the HR planning, what is the role of HR chatbots? We see a lot of automation coming into picture, and this automation inevitably happens without disturbing the authenticity of individuals, or if I can use the word, the objectivity with which every individual comes up, that is being measured in an objective fashion. Let's look into that in a greater detail. I'm Dr. Abraham Cyril Issac. I'm an assistant professor at the School of Business, Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. Now, when you look into AI tools and employee experiences, chatbots, they have redefined the employee experiences to a certain extent. And this is what makes AI as a changing, maybe a change agent, or maybe something which is something that we are looking forward to, so that a lot of things can be redefined and can be readjusted and can be done with more efficiency and effectiveness. When you look into typically the human resource planning, let's start with an overview of what do you mean by human resource planning. I do understand that there are certain HR professionals who are actually looking and going through the particular course. But when you start with the AI introduction into HRP, you have to first understand what do you mean by human resource planning. Let's look into that. When you are talking about human resource planning specifically, it is to be understood as a long-term perspective. It is to be understood as a strategic objective or strategic approach aimed at ensuring that an organization has the right number of people with the right skills at the right time to achieve its goals. So it involves forecasting an organization's future human resource needs and planning to meet those needs efficiently and effectively, as I mentioned. So when you are looking into human resource planning per se, let's together define this human resource planning. Human resource planning is nothing but the continuous process. Please note the word continuous. It's not like, one time you do it, maybe for the next 10 years you are not touching the file, and then again once on a fine day you again have some requirement, you tend to recruit people. No. Human resource planning is a continuous process of systematic planning to achieve optimum use of an organization's most valuable asset, that is human resources. So it aligns the human resource functions with the strategic objectives and the goals of the organization, ensuring employees' skills and abilities match the demands of the current as well as the future roles, if you ask me. So when you look into human resource planning, it has taken the cue from the history, from the past. It is dealing with the present with the eye in the future. So when you look into human resource planning with respect to its importance, we can definitely say that it ensures that right people are in the right jobs capable of achieving strategic objectives. So HRP or human resource planning helps organizations ensure that employees are placed in the roles that align with their skills and the strategic objectives of the company. So the optimization leads to enhanced productivity and efficiency as the right people are in the right job. Another significant importance, if you ask me, I will say that it helps organization to anticipate the future HR needs and plan accordingly, to avoid talent shortages or even surpluses for that matter. Sometimes that there might be a case of, talent surplus. It's always not shortage, though we tend to face the resource crunch from a manpower point of view. Many a time it happens that there might be some talent surpluses, and many a time it is akin to the disguised unemployment, if you ask me. So by anticipating the future human resource requirements, organizations can proactively address the potential talent shortages or surpluses. So this forecasting allows companies to plan the recruitment, plan the training efforts effectively, ensuring that they have the necessary workforce to achieve their objectives. Another significant importance would be reducing the hiring cost and turnover by identifying personnel gaps before they become actually problematic. So effective human resource planning can significantly, without doubt, reduce the hiring costs and employee turnover by identifying the personal gaps before they become critical issues. So typically, by planning, organizations can avoid the financial strain associated with urgent hiring needs and of course high turnover rates. Another significant importance would be talent management. When you look into human resource planning per se, it aids in identifying training and development needs among the existing staff. So HRP plays a crucial role in identifying training and development needs among existing staff. So by understanding future skill requirements, by understanding the requirements of the organizations, it can implement targeted training programs that enhance the employee capabilities and prepare them for the upcoming challenges. Another critical aspect would be the retention strategy. So many a time, a well-structured human resource plan can help in devising, the strategies for employee retention by aligning the roles with the employee goals. So a well-structured HRP framework contributes to developing strategies for employee retention. So by aligning employees' roles with their career goals and aspirations, organizations can foster a more engaged workforce, reducing the turnover rates altogether. When you look into the importance, you cannot skip without looking into the compliance and risk management also. When you talk about the compliance and risk management, please understand, it helps organizations, HRP specifically, helps organizations to comply with the regulatory requirements regarding employment and labor. So basically, you look into labor relations, you look into employment. Human resource planning helps organizations navigate regulatory requirements related to employment and labor relations. So by ensuring the compliance with laws and regulations, organizations can mitigate risk associated with the legal challenges. Now let's look into the components of the human resource planning quickly. When you look into human resource planning as a systematic process that aligns an organization's human resources with its strategic goals, we have to understand that it involves several key components that work together to ensure that the organization has the right talent in place to meet current and future demands. So you look into the specific demand forecasting. You understand that there is a possibility to predict the number of employees needed based on various factors. Let's say something like business growth could be one factor. Strategic direction could be another factor. External labor market conditions could be another factor. So all these factors typically help predict the number of employees needed based on the requirements given or elicited by the business growth or the strategic direction or the labor market conditions. So this happens to be one of the significant component of human resource planning. If you look into the workforce analysis, current workforce assessment and future workforce needs. So when you are analyzing the existing employees' skills, roles and performance and helps identifying the strengths and weakness within the current force, you also have a liability or responsibility to look into the future workforce needs, identifying skills and competencies required for future organizational objectives. So that will ensure that the organization is prepared for upcoming challenges. So when you are looking into human resource planning specifically, you have to understand that there is a possibility with respect to forecasting the supply. This happens by assessing the availability of existing staff and the potential external hires. It also involves understanding labor market trends to determine how many individuals can be recruited at one go, or it also helps in evaluating whether current employees can meet future demands or if typically new hiring is actually necessary. So all these aspects can be determined by the supply forecasting. Another significant component of human resource planning would be what we generally talk in layman terms as gap analysis. It compares the current workforce capabilities with the future needs to identify the gap in skills or gap in numbers or even sometimes both. So it determines whether there is a surplus or shortage of talent. It informs recruitment or training strategies necessary to close these gaps. We also have human resource planning component as action planning. What is action planning? It develops strategies to identify gaps through recruitment initiatives, training and development programs, succession planning, retention strategies, and sometimes there are considerations given to layoff plans if they are necessary. So typically action plan ensures that it aligns with the plan aligns with the overall business strategies and objectives. We also have a typical HRP component, which is monitoring and evaluation. When you look into monitoring and evaluation, it is the continuous assessment, as I have emphasized in the beginning itself. Continuously assess the effectiveness of human resource planning process. It involves making necessary adjustments based on the changes in the organizational strategy or external conditions per se. Regularly review the outcomes against the set objectives to refine processes and improve the future HR planning efforts. So when you are looking into the components, we see that there are different components, right from demand forecasting, supply forecasting, gap analysis, action planning, and finally the monitoring and evaluation. Now let's look into the human resource planning in greater detail by understanding the different steps in HRP. We start with assessing the organizational goals as the first step. The purpose is clear to understand. The purpose is clear to understand the strategic goals and the objectives of the organization. So what generally is done in terms of assessing organization goals is that we collaborate with management to determine that what the organization aims to achieve and how HR can actually support these objectives. So this could include identifying specific departmental needs such as recruitment for growth or downsizing for efficiency, etc. Another significant factor would be analyzing the current HR capabilities. Another significant step. The purpose is simple: to evaluate the existing human resources within the organization. And when you look into analyzing this current HR capabilities, it's all about conduct a skills inventory to assess employee qualifications, employee experience, and performance levels. So identify any gaps in skills or surpluses in workforce capacity. So maybe tools like, let's say, organizational charts, which we have seen typically in HRM classes, organizational charts or replacement charts, if you can recollect. Replacement charts, and these typical tools can be really helpful when you are analyzing the current HR capabilities. Another significant step would be to forecast the future HR needs. When you are predicting the future requirements based on the organizational growth and the project needs. So, you analyze the market trends, you analyze the technological advancements, the internal factors like, let's say, retirements, the turnover rates. So, this typical step involves both demand forecasting, how many employees are needed, and also the supply forecasting, that means availability of the qualified candidates to determine the future HR requirements. The next step would be to identify the gaps and estimate the future HR availability. So, you have to identify the discrepancies between, let's say, the current workforce capabilities and the future needs, and assessing the labor market and the current employee availability. So, for that, you compare the current workforce assessment with the future requirements to pinpoint areas needing improvement or adjustment. So, this typical analysis will highlight whether there is a surplus or a shortage of talent and inform the recruitment or training strategies. The next step would be to develop and implement action plans. So, you try to formulate the strategies for recruitment, training, for development, retention to close the gap, executing the planned strategies. So, what you typically do here is that you try to develop or formulate a detailed HR action plan that includes recruitment strategies, training programs, and succession planning. So, this plan should align with overall business strategies and outline the specific steps for achieving workforce goals, including timelines and responsibilities. Finally, you have to review and revise the plans. So, continuously monitoring the effectiveness is vital, and adjusting the plans is necessary. So, ensure the effectiveness of HR strategies is there over time. So, regularly review the HR plans, their outcomes against the set objectives. Do collect the feedback to assess whether staffing levels meet organizational needs and adjust as necessary. Continuous evaluation typically helps refine processes and improve the future HR planning efforts. Now, let's look into the tools and techniques in the HRP quickly. You would have already come across these analysis, so my intention is not to detail on this. I'll just quickly touch upon and go. SWOT analysis is nothing but, for the people who don't know, it's a strategic planning tool that identifies the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So, you have typical application. Let's say for strengths, you can assess the internal capabilities, be it the skilled employees or the strong organizational culture. For weaknesses, you can typically identify the areas of improvement like high turnover rates, what are the issues related to that, or if there are some critical skill gaps. With respect to opportunities, you can look into recognizing the external factors that could benefit the HRP, be it emerging markets or be it technological advancements for that matter. For threats, you may have understanding of the external challenges, including some of the economic downturns or changes in the labor law. So, all these aspects typically give you a detailed understanding of where you stand with respect to the human resource. Another significant aspect most of you would have studied with respect to strategy or with respect to marketing, also pestle analysis. So, pestle analysis is typically the political, understanding the government policies and regulations that impact the hiring practices specific to our case, or the economic, analyzing the economic trends that affect labor availability and compensation, or sometimes the social, considering demographic changes or cultural shifts influencing the workforce dynamics, or sometimes the technological, evaluating how technological advancements can actually change the job roles or required skills, or sometimes legal, where you have to keep the track of labor laws or compliance requirements that affect the HR planning, or even sometimes environmental, which is all about recognizing the sustainability practices that may influence workforce strategies. There are some typical statistical methods also. When you look into this, the applications are vital because these typically utilize the historical data and statistical techniques to predict future workforce needs. So you can apply them in employing regression analysis to forecasting the staffing, employing regression analysis to forecast the staffing requirements based on business growth patterns, or sometimes analyzing the turnover rates to project the future hiring needs, or even sometimes using predictive analytics to identify trends in employee performance and retention. We also have seen that organizations do take the help of some workforce analytics software, which helps in a lot of things, including analyzing the employee performance, data to identify high potential employees for, sometimes succession planning, or utilizing dashboards to visualize workforce metrics. It could be something like turnover rates or employee engagement scores or training effectiveness for that matter. Or sometimes enabling the scenario planning by simulating various workforce configurations based on different business strategies. So advanced HR management systems, HRMS, that leverage data analytics to enhance the decision making in HRP. We also have to look into some of the critical challenges before we dive into the AI inclusion or AI relevance or the AI work in terms of HRP. Quickly, when we look into the challenges in the human resource planning, we see that rapid technological advancements, like when you are talking about the changing business environment, rapid technological advancements, if you ask me, would be a critical factor. Let's say the pace of that, the fast pace of technological change, it can make it difficult to predict future HR needs, as new roles, new skills may emerge while existing ones become obsolete. There could be also the pressures from globalization. As businesses expand internationally, they face diverse labor markets and varying regulations, complicating workforce planning. There could be issues related to market dynamics. Fluctuations in the economy could be one. Consumer preferences could be another. Or competitive pressures that can lead to unpredictable staffing needs could also be another changing business environment related market dynamics related scenario. There could be some critical retention issues. To talk about retention issues, you look into maybe your organization or the organization you have worked previously, which is not employee friendly. You'll see that there is a high employee turnover. Organizations may struggle to retain talented employees due to various factors. It could be job dissatisfaction, it could be at times better opportunities elsewhere, or even inadequate career development options. Or there might be some impact on planning. Let's say high turnover rates disrupt the human resource planning by creating sudden gaps in the workforce that would typically need immediate attention, complicating the long-term planning efforts. Let's say your organization was planning for a greater recruitment strategy, maybe 6 months or 1 year down the line, but there is a sudden turnover, there is a sudden attrition, which has actually raised in the demand for better or immediate recruitment, which actually distorts or hampers your entire plan in itself. There could be some budget constraints. We are talking about financial limitations. Organizations often face this restrictions that actually limit their ability to invest in necessary HR initiatives. It could be recruitment, it could be training, it could be development programs. We look into the resource allocation also. Sometimes tight budgets can lead to prioritizing short-term needs over long-term strategic planning. So there can be a situation which can result in a reactive rather than proactive approach towards HRP altogether. We also see there is possibility of skill shortages. What do you mean by that? Talent acquisition challenges might be there. Let's say there is an increasing difficulty in finding candidates with the required skills and qualifications. Let's say particularly in specialized fields, maybe technology, maybe healthcare, or there might be some impact on growth. There could be some skill shortages that can impede an organization's ability to grow and innovate. So as they may not have access to the talent necessary to implement the strategic initiatives. So you look into challenges, you cannot go further without omitting the legal and regulatory changes also. Sometimes, as we have already seen, there might be the dynamic labor laws that create a problem, or sometimes a compliance risk. Organizations must continuously monitor legal developments to avoid potential penalties or lawsuits that could arise from non-compliance, if you ask me. Now, let's look into the best practices in the human resource planning. We have to understand that HRP will be only successful if we integrate HRP with business strategy. Alignment with organizational goals. Ensure that the HR planning is closely aligned with the organization's strategic objectives. This involves, understanding the long-term vision, how human resources can support these goals. There could be some collaborative approach. You look into engaging with senior management and department heads to gather insights on future business directions and workforce needs. So that will ensure that HR strategies are integrated into broader business plans. Use real-time data. You look into leveraging the analytics, utilizing the current data and analytics tools to inform the HR decisions. Real-time data, typically, if you ask me, helps in making accurate forecasts about the workforce needs. So employee performance could have been improved, or maybe market trends could have been taken care of. This can be done with real-time data. It can be done with continuous monitoring. Please note, regularly update data inputs to reflect changes in the business environment, enabling more responsive and informed HR planning. You also can engage leaders and managers, involve organization leaders in HRP process for better insights and acceptance. Involvement of stakeholders, involve organization leaders and managers in the HRP process to gain valuable insights into departmental needs and challenges. There can be some typical feedback mechanisms for this. Establish those channels for ongoing feedback from managers regarding workforce capabilities, regarding, let's say, performance issues, regarding future needs, fostering a culture of collaboration. There could be also, flexibility with respect to using the HRP, or you can have the certain adaptability to change. Develop flexible HR plans that can be adjusted as business needs evolve. This includes, being prepared for unexpected changes, be it market fluctuations or shifts in technology. Or there could be some scenario planning which can be done, which can anticipate various potential futures and develop strategies that can be quickly implemented, as the conditions change. And finally, if you ask me, please do communicate clearly. This is vital, because transparency in communication ensures that all stakeholders are informed about the HR plans, the changes, if any, and the expectations. So clear communication fosters the alignment and engagement across the organization. There can be regular updates given, provide regular updates on the status of HR initiatives. So workforce changes can be communicated, strategic objectives to keep everyone informed and engaged. So these are some of the best practices in human resource planning. Now let's look into the crux of today's discussion, which is AI tools for human resource planning. The integration of AI tools, if you ask me, especially with respect to human resource planning or the integration in HRP, has revolutionized how organizations manage their workforce. So these tools typically enhance various HR functions, including, let's say, recruitment, workforce planning, employee engagement, training. We have seen many. Now, my intention today is to introduce you to some of the notable AI tools. We start with Beamery. When you talk about Beamery specifically, the functionality and benefits will go one by one like that. Beamery uses skills data from resume and online resources to match candidates with suitable roles, identify skills gap within teams, and guide the creation of new roles. The benefits obviously could be that it increases the application rates and reduces hiring biases, promoting a diverse workforce. The second could be Anodot. Again, you can go and explore with respect to these typical AI tools, whatever is required for your organization, you can choose from that. So my intention again is to introduce you to these tools. You look into Anodot, you see the functionality as, Anodot reports businesses or business incidents and trends in real time, providing actionable insights for, let's say, strategic hiring periods and workforce needs. So what could be the benefit? It alerts leaders to critical changes, allowing for immediate action in the workforce planning. So something which is very critical with respect to HRP. Now we have obviously AI. If you look into obviously AI, it's another significant tool that predicts key metrics like employee turnover based on historical performance data. So it enables the HR teams to simulate scenarios and make informed decisions without requiring the technical skills. So this is very critical with respect to generic organizations. You also would have come across HR Signal, or HR Signal predicts employee turnover likelihood and recommends the proactive retention strategy. So typically, this tool provides insights into career prospects for employees, supporting talent development and reducing the voluntary turnover. There could be also People Box. People Box is a Gen AI powered talent management platform that enhances hiring, performance management, and even goal setting. So, if you look into People Box's functionality and benefits, it offers intelligent skill gap analysis and integrates talent acquisition with management process. We also have something called as FinDem. The functionality would be that it is an AI powered talent intelligence platform that identifies ideal candidate matches for open roles. So it automates the outreach to candidates and provides bulk shortlisting capabilities. So to conclude, all these AI tools, again, this is not an exhaustive list, many tools are emerging, but these are the prominent AI tools in HRP. They not only streamline the recruitment process, but also enhance the overall workforce management by providing data-driven insights. So by leveraging these technologies, if you ask me, organizations can make informed decisions about staffing needs, they can improve the employee engagement and ultimately drive better business outcomes. So this is something which is vital with respect to human resource planning. Now let's look into HR chatbots, another significant area which I wanted to cover in this lecture. So HR chatbots are indeed revolutionizing the human resource management. As technology continues to evolve, HR departments are increasingly leveraging the chatbots to streamline the operations, enhance the communication, and improve the employee experience. So HR chatbots powered by artificial intelligence and natural language processing, they provide around the clock assistance to employees and prospective candidates, helping them navigate HR related queries effectively. Now let's look into the HR chatbots in greater detail. Let's look into the definition overview of HR chatbots. HR chatbots, as I just mentioned, they are AI-driven software applications that simulate the human-like conversations and interactions, providing instant responses to employees or job seekers on various HR-related topics. So they can be integrated into websites, they can be integrated into social media platforms, or they can be integrated into even internal HR systems, delivering support for queries and tasks such as, say, recruitment, onboarding, training, or even real-time employee assistance. So in other words, HR chatbots are AI-driven virtual assistants designed to streamline and automate various HR functions. So they enhance employee engagement, there is no doubt about it. They improve the efficiency, and of course, they reduce the administrative burden on the HR teams. So by handling, let's say, repetitive tasks, mundane tasks, these chatbots, they allow the HR professionals to focus on more strategic activities that require human empathy and typically the human judgment. Now let's look into the types of HR chatbots. There are a couple of chatbots in terms of the categorization. One is obviously the rule-based chatbots. You talk about rule-based chatbots, these operate on predefined scripts and are effective for straightforward tasks, like, let's say, answering the FAQs or guiding users through processes. So rule-based chatbots operate on predefined rules and are critical with respect to their utilization. or are critical with respect to their utility. They are designed to perform specific tasks and follow decision trees to guide users through typical interactions. So if you ask me, the rule-based chatbots, it has certain characteristics. They include, limited learning ability, which is strikingly different from the AI powered chatbots, because you have to understand the rule based chatbots first to actually appreciate the AI powered chatbots. You look into the rule based chatbots, they have some task specific functions. You look into common uses, like let's say answering frequently asked questions, FAQs, or guiding users through application process, or even providing basic information about the company policies. So these are all task specific functions. Let's say many traditional HR systems utilize these rule based bots for straightforward inquiries and process, because that works as per the script. Now you have the important AI powered chatbots, utilizing the machine learning and NLP. These chatbots can learn from interactions, providing more nuanced responses and handling complex queries more effectively. So AI powered chatbots, they leverage advanced technologies like NLP, machine learning, to provide more personalized and dynamic interaction. So let's say they have the learning capability. You look into these chatbots, they can learn from user interactions, improving their response over time. That's the beauty of this. They can manage a wider range of tasks, be it conducting initial candidate screenings, be it scheduling interviews, be it providing real-time updates on application status, rather than just giving answers to FAQs or working as per a script. These AI powered chatbots are equipped for complex task handling. AI chatbots can also engage in more natural conversations. So it makes them suitable both for recruitment and employee support. Let's say, I think I've taken already the example of Mia. Mia automates the candidate screening and interview scheduling, integrating with the applicant tracking system. In the previous modules, we have also looked into Humanly, which typically focuses on enhancing the hiring process through conversational interactions with the candidates. Alio, it supports the entire employee life cycle from recruitment to offboarding, streamlining various HR processes. Now, having seen what is AI powered chatbots, well, let's have a typical comparison. Very quickly, we have seen, we'll just summarize it based on the understanding we have got now. Rule-based chatbots and AI-powered chatbots. You look into rule-based, it is working with predefined scripts, limited learning, and it is always task-specific. So, some basic FAQ bots actually contribute or are significant role-based chatbots. But you look into the AI-powered chatbots, it has this learning capability to understand, to learn from the mistakes. So complex task handling is a critical activity it can do. So some examples are again Mia, Humanly, Alio, etc. that we have discussed. Now, having understood this, let's look into some key features of HR chatbots. Something which is otherwise not capable or human beings are not able to execute is the 24/7 availability. Now, this is the beauty of HR chatbots. HR chatbots can answer, inquire anytime, eliminating the need for employees to wait for office hours. HR chatbots provide, instant support to employees for common inquiries about benefits, leave policies, and other HR-related questions at any time of the day. There can be some self-service capabilities. When you ask, employees specifically, they can use chatbots to manage their own requests for time off, or to access information about their benefits without waiting for the HR personnel to actually come and tell you. Or there can be some instantaneous communication. You are looking into HR chatbots that can integrate with various HR softwares and platforms like, let's say, applicant tracking system or LMS, learning management systems, to deliver unified support. There can be some personalized interactions, utilizing data and user history. Chatbots can tailor responses based on individual employee profiles and interactions for that matter. Now, let's look into some of the functions of HR chatbots. In recruitment, you will see that HR chatbots can collect and filter resumes. They can assess the candidates and schedule interviews based on predefined criteria. So they provide real-time updates to candidates regarding their applications, the status of that, enhancing the overall recruitment experience. By utilizing the NLP, natural language processing, chatbots can interact with candidates in a personalized manner, answering queries and providing information about job opportunities that match their skills and interests. You will have chatbots that can help filter candidates based on predefined criteria, automatically responding to FAQs about job openings, required skills and application process. You have interview scheduling possibility. You look into automating the process of scheduling interviews between candidates and hiring managers, minimizing the back and forth communication. There could be also stances of onboarding and offshoring. You're looking into onboarding and offboarding. It provides new hires with essential information regarding the company policies, required documentation, or orientation schedules and training resources for that matter. There can be the streamlining of onboarding. Chatbots, if you ask me, they guide new hires through the onboarding process by providing essential information about the company policies, the benefits of that, the training schedules, etc. So they can automate paperwork and checklist tracking, making the transition smoother for new employees. There can be also efficient onboarding. For departing employees, chatbots can manage exit interviews and ensure that all necessary procedures are followed, facilitating a positive offboarding experience. Now, let's also understand the functions of HR chatbots from the service angle. You look into employee self-service, you see that employees can access information regarding company policies, payrolls, benefits, leave applications, and other HR-related queries instantly. It can also facilitate leave request by allowing employees to apply for vacation, track even the leave balances and receive alerts about their leave status. You can also look into performance management. Let's say we understand it from the feedback collection. We understand the possibility of allowing employees to provide feedback on training programs or company policies, fostering an environment of continuous improvement. We can look into performance review reminders, send automatic reminders to employees and managers about upcoming performance reviews and deadlines for feedback submission. Another significant function of HR chatbots would be with respect to training and development. There can be some possible learning recommendations. It can provide personalized training course suggestions and resources based on employee skills, career goals, etc. Or there can be some progress tracking that can be done, especially help track employees' training progress and send reminders for course completions. With respect to employee engagement and well-being, you can have some pulse surveys. Pulse surveys. What do you mean by pulse surveys? They are short, engaging surveys to assess employee satisfaction and engagement levels regularly. There can be, some offering with respect to information and resources related to employee wellness programs and mental health initiatives. Now, let's look into the benefits of implementing HR chatbots. Needless to say, HR chatbots automate repetitive tasks that otherwise absorb valuable time for HR personnel, enabling them to focus on strategic functions, a point which we try to emphasize in some of the modules. So, enhanced efficiency is the way to go ahead, and it's one of the critical benefits when you talk about implementing HR chatbots. So, by automating routine tasks, be it data collection, initial candidate screening, or let's say HR chatbots functions that actually significantly reduce the time required for all these processes. Another significant aspect could be the cost saving. By providing self-service functionalities, chatbots reduce the need for a large HR team, ultimately leading to operational cost savings. There can be some improvement in employee experience, providing immediate assistance, leads to increased employee satisfaction as they receive prompt answers to their queries without the delay of an experience when relying solely on the HR personnel. So the immediacy of responses provided by chatbots contribute to higher employee satisfaction. Employees feel more valued when their inquiries are addressed promptly and accurately. There can also be some data collection and insights that can be triggered or done by the HR chatbots. Chatbots can actually analyze interactions to identify the trends. It could be something like current employee concerns or some commonly asked questions. So this data can drive informed decision making and enhance the HR policies and practices. Again, we do have a benefit of scalability. Sometimes we don't address this or appreciate it. We look into HR chatbots that can efficiently handle a high volume of inquiries, making them ideal for organizations experiencing rapid growth or those that require a high degree of flexibility in workforce engagement for that matter. Now, when you are talking about chatbot implementation, there are some typical challenges. Very quickly, if you look into this chatbot implementation, see, implementing an HR chatbot may require significant time. It may require significant resources, no doubt about it, especially to configure it properly, especially in ensuring seamless integration with the existing HR system. So, initial setup and integration is a tough call. You look into employees that may initially be resistant to using chatbots, preferring human interactions. Effective change management and user training are crucial to overcoming this particular aspect. You look into handling service employee data raises concerns regarding privacy and security. HR teams must ensure that there is strict compliance with labor and data protection laws, incorporating robust security measures in chatbot development. There can be also some challenges with respect to language and context understanding. Even if you are talking about natural language processing, which has improved significantly, chatbots may still struggle to understand the complex queries or context maybe specifically, leading to potential misunderstanding. So continuous learning and updates are needed for chatbots to improve accuracy. Now, what are some of the best practices for HR chatbot implementation? When you look into chatbot implementation, you have to understand that we have to define the specific goals and functions that chatbot will serve within the HR department to ensure that it meets the organization's needs effectively. We have to understand that we have to evaluate the different chatbot platforms focusing on their capabilities in customization, the NLP user experience and integration with the existing HR system. We may have to go for pilot testing, conduct pilot tests with targeted employee groups to gather feedback, identify the shortcomings and refine the chatbot before full-scale development. Go for some continuous learning and updates. Regularly update the chatbot's knowledge base and capabilities based on user feedback and changing HR practices. That will ensure it remains a relevant resource. Another significant aspect could be the employee training and awareness. So you can promote awareness of the chatbot existence and capabilities to encourage employees to utilize the tools effectively and typically offer training sessions on how to interact with the chatbots. Now let's look into some of the use cases of HR chatbots, and this would be one of the critical aspect what we'll be discussing today. When you are talking about specifically the use case, we have to see that we see it in recruitment automation, automating resume screening, interview scheduling, candidate communication. You see it as an onboard assistance. You look into it from the attendance management point of view, allowing employees to report absences or request leave very easily. We can also see it from the feedback collection point of view, gathering employee feedback through surveys or even policy dissemination, ensuring that all employees have easy access to updated company policies and procedures. So basically, if you ask me, the integration of HR chatbots into human resource management represents a significant advancement in how organizations handle their HR functions. Let's say by automating repetitive tasks, by providing instant support, and enhancing the overall employee experience, these tools not only improve the efficiency but also allow the HR professionals to focus on strategic initiatives that foster a positive workplace culture. So, as technology continues to evolve, as AI continues to evolve, the capabilities of HR chatbots will likely expand further, making them an essential component of modern day HR operations. Now let's look into employee experience towards HR chatbots before concluding. When you see the implementation of HR chatbots, it has significantly transformed the employee experience within organizations. So these AI-driven tools provide various benefits and enhance the communication. They streamline the processes and foster the engagement. So when you are looking into the benefits of HR chatbots typically for employees, you see that there is an instant access to information. HR chatbots typically offer 24/7 availability, which we have seen, allowing employees to access information regarding policies, regarding the benefits, regarding the procedures. There can be enhanced communication, again a point which we have underscored. By facilitating seamless communication, chatbots help bridge the gap between employees and HR. We have some personalized interactions. AI-powered chatbots can tailor responses based on individual employee data, be it a role, be it previous interaction. So this personalization makes employees feel valued and understood, enhancing their overall experience within the organization. There can be the streamlining of some processes. Chatbots automate repetitive tasks like, let's say, leave request or onboarding process or let's say performance feedback collection. So this automation not only saves time but also allows HR teams to focus on more strategic initiatives. There can be employee trust and engagement with respect to these HR chatbots. Research indicates that a significant portion of employees trust chatbots more than their managers for initial inquiries. This might look funny, but this is the outcome of a research study. Let's say Oracle reports 64% of the employees prefer engaging with chatbots for straightforward questions due to their unbiased and objective responses. This in itself is a testimony to the fact. So this trust can actually lead to higher engagement levels as employees feel more comfortable seeking assistance from AI tools. And finally, we do have some of the feedback mechanisms. HR chatbots are effective in collecting real-time feedback from employees, replacing traditional annual surveys with more immediate and actionable insights. So they can solicit feedback casually. They can actually, go through simple prompts, allowing organizations to address issues promptly and improve the workplace dynamics. So this typically provides a proactive approach that helps create a culture where employees feel heard and valued. Now, to conclude, let's look into the challenges and considerations. There is no doubt while HR chatbots enhance the employee experience significantly, they are not without limitations. Employees may still require human interactions for complex issues that necessitate empathy or nuanced understanding. Therefore, maintaining a balance between chatbot support and human oversight is critical, is vital. So when you are looking into specifically the HR chatbots, though it is a great facilitator, as in case of any other AI tool for that matter, as the Oracle survey says, 64% of the people or the employees, they prefer to talk to the chatbots. And the reason is quite clear: no nonsense. Directly you ask the question, you get the direct response. There is no bias in terms of response. Many a time, introspect within yourself. You ask your manager some question. There can be some aspects which he or she might share with you. There might be some things which deliberately would be hidden from you, or there might be some twist that is given. Sometimes there might be some aspects which is not communicated in the clear way. Sometimes they feel or they make you feel that they have obtained it and given it to you. All these are some of the situations which you generally see. You cannot have the trust when situations are like that. But that is not the case with HR chatbot. That's why, majority of employees nowadays feel that you can ask chatbots for that matter. Straight question, straight answer. There are no hindrances, there are no biases, there are no loaded statements, or there are no leading questions for that matter. So all these aspects typically help you in getting to what you actually wanted. So this is the beauty of HR chatbots, and this is what I wanted to emphasize with this lecture. Thank you for listening to me patiently. See you in the next class. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.